members that lived, and they were able to kite out very nicely. As we do jump back into Champion Select for Game 2, you can see EPA now on the blue side. They were the two members of the M3 lineup that did look okay throughout the entirety of it.
They did, and it was Savoki desperately trying to make things happen towards the end of the game, but Energy Pacemaker definitely don't want to see the rise. You're exactly right. It seems like that's the champion that they just don't want to deal with at all, whether he be on their team or not. Masters 3 will see whether they change up the bans, because it's up to them, isn't it, really? Onus is on this team to really change what's going on, and already the Quinn ban.
Yeah, apparently they agree. This is the second time that a Quinn's got an MVP. We haven't really agreed with it, but then it's been scrubbed off Summoner's Rift for the next game, so certainly seems to be a champion that just creates way too much pressure, can rotate around the map very quickly. LPL teams don't want to deal with it. As soon as you prove that you can play that champion, the enemy team bans it.
Yep, see you later. Well, Lissandra is going to be the next ban as well. Interesting, because we didn't see Lissandra touched at all last game. This time Energy Pacemaker say, well, if you're going to lose the first game, you're probably going to pick Lissandra, right? So we'll ban that one away immediately. Or maybe they're just going for a blue theme. Not entirely sure. But does mean that Trundle's still available. Alistair still available. There are still some options here. M3 and Energy Pacemaker for the first pick. And yeah, that's another one. Wasn't too much of a problem. MF, though, is going to hit the bench as Masters 3 take away 2 ranged carries.
That's strange, because that was banned by... Actually, yeah, no, that was banned by EPA last time around, so not wanting anything to do with that.
You have to feel like, is Misfortune really one of those first pickable champions?
Yes.
Do you first pick it?
Yeah.
All right.
Her E is, on this patch, probably the most broken ability in the game.
Really?
Does 340 damage. It's a point-click spell that outranges every AD carry in the game apart from Caitlyn, and procs Thunderlords.
Okay, yeah, now that you put it that way, it's revolting. Well, Alistair's going to be banned.
Also, the best part about it, 2.5 bonus damage you get while people are in CC. It's a slow. So, just every single thing in your talent tree actually gets procced by that one ability.
Yeah, just a bit silly. But Thresh is going to be the next ban here, as Jez are not going to be able to play that one, so he's going to have to dig deep into his champion pool, be able to find something. Of course, Savoki could go back to the Poppy, find something else. Gangplank has found his way through the ban phase, though, as there's been a lot of targeted bans. Tom Kench still available as well. Trundle. Lots of options for these teams. You can see Masters 3 probably banned the Thresh, thinking, okay, well, there's so much going to be left up, we may as well grab a couple of them. Gangplank, the consideration at the moment for Energy Pacemaker all, and we'll see whether they lock that one in for either Gimgoon or Republic. It's going to be taken away. And immediately, the answer is going to be YOLO, once again considering the Graves, but Tom Kench, XY thinking about it, of course, can go to Savoki as well. Decent flex pick, but Lulu, another champion that was left up. They're going to be locked in, so Graves Lulu now picked up. Decent flex, can flex 3 ways there with that Lulu, and if you had a look at the champion spotlight when it first came out, can be a jungler as well.
Cannot be, but Graves can be a jungler, and we need YOLO to have a much better performance this time around than what he put in last game, because he was bullied, honestly, by Rek'Sai, and we've seen that matchup go both ways, but I think it's fair to say Graves seems to have the edge at the start of the game if he can get the ball rolling. You need CC in your lane if you're a Graves, but he brings all the damage to the gank, so look to see whether they can set him up for success this time around, because, as we said, good job in rotating around, pushing down the turrets, but M3 after that just lost complete control of the map.
It's true. Nautilus now being considered. Crisis just thinks, all right, well, I guess I'll go back to Rek'Sai because I may as well. Understood that the matchup worked out quite fine for him last time around. Republic this time considering the Ezreal. Of course, PentaQ played a fantastic Ezreal game, especially in the later stages last game around. Raphael, does he go back towards the Victor? At the moment, hovering the Cassiopeia here. Does suit his playstyle quite a lot. Does like those high damage, consistent damage carries in the mid lane. We'll see what does happen. And with a Lulu, it does open up a lot of these late game options here as far as the AD carries are concerned. So the Tristana might be another option. Most certainly. PentaQ hovering that one at the moment. And the Tahm Kench as well. There's just a lot of power picks available for Masters 3.
Problem is if they take the Tahm Kench right now, Trundle is just the immediate response that they know is going to come out of Energy Pacemaker all. I honestly don't know why they would go towards something like the Tristana right now. Just pick up your Trundle. 80 carry's already been locked in on the side of Energy Pacemaker roll. Top lane Tarm, support Trundle, or vice versa. Will not do you any problems at all. But they go with the Tristana.
Yep, it's already there. You can hear it in Spawn's voice. Not very happy with Masters 3 at this point of the draft. We'll see whether they can pull it back around. Of course, some mind games can be made with a lot of flex picks being there. But Republic now considering taking away the Victor from Raphael.
Ooh, that's weird.
Yeah. But Trundle finally being hovered from Energy Pacemaker all.
And this is a perfect comp to run Trundle into because you're not expecting a huge tanky support. Alistair's been taken off the board. You know, if they lock in Trundle, there's honestly, like, Braum potentially and Leona are the two tanky supports that really come to mind as Thresh has also been taken away. Trundle, all he has to do is ult the Tahm Kench. They'll be able to rip through that with the consistent damage that will come out of Republic and then just deal with the rest of the AD carries. And that's what they're going for. I really like the team comp right now that has come out of Energy Pacemaker all.
And not to mention the fact that they have this Gangplank in the top lane, the late game insurance, if ever I've seen one. And I just love Gangplank paired with the Victor as well, because you can just control so much space. And they've added the pillar to that.
Yeah, the reason I like Gangplank is that's definitely going to be a Blue Ezreal. Blue Ezreal as well as Trundle has a pillar on like 7-second cooldown, the Q on 1.
Oh, man.
You put the Gangplank ultimate on the back end of the team fight. They can't really run away from it. You've got all the zone control up front. Very hard to engage/disengage away from the EPA lineup. So why not lock in a Blitzcrank and just try and get a pick?
Yeah, by the looks of things, that might be what they're going for. Not sure. Savoki can go back to the Poppy. The Poppy hasn't been seen at all during this draft. Team Goon, of course, opting to go towards the Gangplank instead. With Lulu available, that was what XY was looking at. Very interesting stuff. 2 seconds left remaining on the clock. Masters 3. It's a Blitzcrank.
It is a Blitzcrank.
Locked in.
So, you know, I was being a bit facetious, I think is the word that I'm looking for, Atlas. You're better at this than I am, but in all honesty, that's all they really left themselves with. They have high burst potential in the Graves and good lockdown in Lulu and Tahm Kench. Blitzcrank not going to do anything in the laning phase because it's against an Ezreal, but late game when you have a Victor, when you have a Gangplank, just lock in a Blitz and see if you can get a pick. Because in a 5v5 team fight, you're not beating EPA right now.
And it does sort of like, it reminds me of how you explain the Lee Sin at the same time, you know? In the early game, Lee Sin, lots of damage, able to get stuff done. Blitzcrank in the laning phase, fantastic as far as like you land the hook, you can possibly get a kill off that immediately. Everyone's experienced in solo queue. And then at the very end of the game, one Blitz hook can win the game. It's always been the case. Of course, different here in the top end of competitive play. Not necessarily like my gold games. But can still be a problem. The mechanics still work. And we'll see whether Savoki is going to be able to do it.
Yeah, so a lot of pressure now on the Blitzcrank player. See if they lane swap to try and get away from the Trundle matchup.
Yeah.
Or will they just go head-to-head, you know? Try and hook a troll.
Well, he doesn't have any displacement abilities. He is relatively slow-moving, if not immobile, because he's definitely not immobile. He runs pretty quick. And we'll see what happens. You can see, here they are, Pentaque and Savoki. Jezzo and Romantic. We'll see whether they do lane against each other, but let's get on to the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for Energy Pacemaker All versus Masters 3. As Blitzcrank has made his debut into the LPL for this season. Thank you very much, 2016, for bringing us Blitzcrank. Savoki, see whether he can make something happen. Already waiting.
So the reason I love Blitzcrank as a character as a champion, more importantly, is that he either makes you look amazing or horrible. And both can be equally as entertaining on Summoner's Rift Atlas. So Savoki has stepped up to the plate.
He most certainly has. He wants to go down in flames if he does.
See, that's what I mean. Just if someone is in that brush, genius. No one there. What are you doing, Savoki?
No one there. And in that case, he's just lost a third of his mana. Unfortunate. But we do have a pause. Of course, we had a pause very, very quickly at the beginning of game number 1. And hopefully it follows that trend this time around. See the players ready to go right now. And we'll see whether we can get into the game as quickly as possible.
So let's take a look at what the teams want to do first off and what their win conditions are. So you got a blue Ezreal versus a Tristana. Tristana shoves away very hard, and they're looking to push down turrets. You know, they've got a ranged jungler in the fact that they've got a Graves Tristana. No wave clear on the Ezreal. So realistically, they're looking to shove that under the turret, and then Blitzcrank provides all of this pressure because all of a sudden, if you get hooked from underneath your turret, you're in the middle of the minion wave, not much return damage. Burst damage is going to come out of Tristan Graves quite high. So I would not be surprised if M3, you know, they just go for hard shove mode in all their lanes and see if they can open up the jungle for YOLO on this Graves to be able to rotate around. On the other side of the map, you got Victor Gangplank, and they're two of the best wave clearing champions for both AD and AP in the game. Going to look to stall this one out from EPA. Not expecting it to be any quicker than it was last time around.
No.
Even if it goes super late game, Tahm Kench isn't going to be this huge tank because you have a Trundle on your team to be able to shred away all those resistances. Rek'Sai Trundle, very good at disrupting backlines, very similar to their last comp that they put together with the Alistair Rek'Sai. So like what EPA have brought to the Rift. So if the game goes under 30, 35 minutes, M3 should be able to run away with this one because it probably means that they're going to be shoving down lanes. Goes any longer than that, EPA are going to scale into the high heavens. And, you know, Gangplank, we always talk about the fact that he gets extra gold. The other benefit of Gangplank has one of the most expensive item builds in the game.
Yes.
So even if the game goes late, this guy's still adding things to his arsenals. He wants like a Trinity Force 4 Infinity Edge boots is like his dream build because that's 100% crit. So we'll see if he's able to go to that extent in the game. Make use of not only all the gold, but the slot efficiency that Gangplank grabs out of those very expensive items.
Yeah, and we'll see how he lanes against the Tahm Kench as well. I have a feeling, you know, you can eat oranges, get out of the, you know, the little fishy above your head, that sort of thing.
Even better than that, Grasp of the Undying Bandit just means that whenever you need health, Grasp of the Undying is up. Parlay Tahm Kench, 15 free gold, get percentage of your health back as well. Honestly, Gangplank against tanks in the top lane is really, really easy to just survive with a Corrupting Potion, with that Q and the Masteries and be able to keep yourself healthy. So pressure is actually on the Graves to be able to impact that lane if he so wants. They either need to win bot really hard with the Blitzcrank or be able to transition around the map very quickly.
Yeah, do you have a feeling that it is going to be that bottom lane focus, though? Because they do have the Blitzcrank. They can utilize the double AD carry and just get these turrets destroyed.
If they don't focus bottom lane, there is 0 point in picking a Blitzcrank.
Yeah.
So I honestly think that YOLO has to get himself into that lane and really be able to shove it down, because if he does not, that's just going to be pretty much a wasted pick. All that pressure that Blitz gets before level 6 is just going to be thrown out the window if they don't get in there and try and shove down that turret.
Yeah, it can be very, very difficult. Of course, we are going to be getting back onto the Rift as quickly as possible, ladies and gentlemen, but you'll have to bear with us just for the meantime. But the other option here with this Blitzcrank we haven't spoken about yet is chuck him in the mid lane. You know, throw him around. You've got this Blitzcrank, you just run him around the Rift. You can just walk pretty fast after level 2. You can just try and get hooks off anyone.
So the problem with that is they've picked a Tristana. Tristana cannot freeze her lane. So if you throw Blitzcrank anywhere else, Tristana's always going to be pushed up the lane. It's always going to be a 2v1. So I like the idea about it. Try and generate picks. Yeah. But there is that pressure on the AD carry in that situation to be able to stay safe. And PentaQ, if he is ever caught out of position, will be a free kill right there because of the chase potential that comes out of not only the Ezreal but the Trundle as well. So if it was something like a Caitlyn where you could just sit max range, you know, very low AD and try and last hit, that would be great. But on something like a Tristana, very hard to roam as a support player and not get your bottom lane caught out.
Yeah, and I just realized as well, you can just chuck a pillar underneath this Tristana as she's trying to jump, and you're going to have a bad time, basically.
Pillar was one of those abilities that, you know, I feel like it's Event Horizon that everyone knew it was in the game. Everyone knew it was an E ability, And that it was one of the legacy abilities. It's like Rupture, it's like Feral Scream, Event Horizon. Pillar was always there. And for such a short cooldown, that thing does ridiculous. It's a knock-up that cancels channels and stuff. Also was slow.
Also terrain.
Yeah, 7 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty silly. And I like how you first, the examples that you had were 2 of Cho'Gath's abilities. That guy is ridiculous right now. I don't know why no one's picking him at the moment.
Who picked him today?
Oh, well, of
for
course.
Immortals in the top lane there. So
unfortunately, I was asleep. Well, look.
League of Legends never sleeps, Atlas.
I know, but I do.
That is not an excuse.
Otherwise, this would be a very interesting shoutcasting experience because I would probably be on this desk at the moment.
Yeah, but I definitely agree. And, so these legacy abilities that are still in the game and hanging around, like we mentioned a couple of them, they make it very interesting to see when champions are going to be changed. But also very hard to lane again. So I like what you pointed out with the interrupt of the Tristana jump.
Yeah.
Also the effect that of being able to steal the AD means that trading is very hard in that lane. So we'll see whether Energy Pacemaker all are willing to go aggressive or, they might just go back to a lane swap and just beat them around the map time and time again.
Well, it could be a good opportunity as well is to utilize that sort of lane swapping style because then it does free up your Blitzcrank to move around the map. So it grabs that level 2, then he can just boost himself towards any other kind of lane. And look, as well, Graves relatively squishy. He doesn't fall low in his jungle, right? Because you can kite the minions very, very well, but you are still a fairly low health jungler. So if you're there with a top laner or something like that in the jungle, you can catch him out. Yeah,
you certainly can. Apart from the fact that Graves is on the same team as a Blitzcrank, which is going to make it really hard to catch Graves. Goes through him in that situation, but
that's true.
Rek'Sai
but
is
it's much easier to catch him
at
at the same time because you've got vision of him permanently. Nailed it.
Rek'Sai across the other side of the map also juggles very high health, and if you grab him, knocks you into the air.
And a little bit
more threat.
A little bit more tanky as well. Just a bad option. So let's not do that, guys. I'm really glad that I explained that had he been, the other opposing side's jungle. Don't even worry about it. We're out of here.
We're done. So definitely going to be looking towards the Victor. That's the biggest target when you look at it. Gangplank, Victor, both don't have gap closers, a way to navigate around the hook unless they have flash available. So we'll see whether it is going to be one of those 2 that has the big Blitzcrank mark on them or whether it's going to be the Graves.
Yeah, relatively similar to Kindred. You assume that mark is always on top of your head if you don't have any sort of dash ability to get out of the hook.
Yeah, so we've talked about the pick potential that it builds having a Blitzcrank and I guess the inherent threat of it. The other one calling card there probably is that late game scaling of the Tristana when you couple it with a Lulu, especially an AP Lulu in the mid lane. They will be able to play kind of a Jugger Trist style and be able to kite back and go forward relatively well. Burst damage of Graves. So M3 do have some options available to them. It just looks like the longer the game goes, as we keep saying, the more it falls over to EPA to be able to regain control of this map. And M3 didn't give us any semblance of confidence that they're able to put together an early game. This is a team that was very bad last year at early game League of Legends, and this year doesn't seem to be any different.
Yeah, but they have now picked a Blitzcrank. So if there's any way to sort of patch up what is an obvious problem as far as making plays in the early game, grab one of these sort of cheesy style support players that you can possibly be able to get this miracle start, grab an extra couple of kills, and then you can utilize that to get yourself into a snowball mode and maybe play it out that way.
Yeah, and we'll see whether he goes for a pink ward start. We saw it yesterday from Matza being able to run in there, grab the pink ward, and then just, I guess, try and take over a certain part of the jungle. Certainly is a possibility, so we'll see if that is what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. It wasn't me saying anything, guys, but that's absolutely fine. Let's just check that out. I'm just sort of holding on to this. It's fine. It's all me, I swear. I absolutely, totally know what's going on. But, look, XY moving into a different champion this time, so not going to be playing the Olaf. Do you think that it might be his opportunity to now shine? And we've seen a lot of top laners do very, very well. Is this sort of where he can do something here on the Tahm Kench?
Yeah, picking up Tahm Kench, we'll see how he's able to utilize probably the ultimate to once again impact mid or bottom lane. Because, honestly, against a Gangplank, there's not much you can do. He stays relatively healthy, is able to, I guess, just farm up a Storm, and you're pretty melee as a Tahm Kench apart from that Tongue Lash. So he just needs to farm up, get to a tanky stage of the game, and then, be able to utilize Tahm Kench's very robust kit. It does a lot of things. So see whether he's able to make an impact. Definitely needs to have more of a, I guess, early game role in this team than what he had on that Olaf.
Yeah, he was sort of just running around, picking up farm where he can, but otherwise just a non-factor. And we'll see whether the Abyssal Voyage can be used, take his friends around the map, and really start things off. Because, you turn up with a Tahm Kench and a Blitzcrank. you're going to have an interesting time. So there are certainly some combo options that they have available to them on the side of Masters 3. But otherwise, it's just so... We're talking about this, all these theories possible for M3. They need to show us that they want to win the game first.
Yeah, I honestly completely agree. That's what I was going to come back to as well. They just need to show that they're happy to play proactive League of Legends. Because if there's one thing that the LPL generally shows us is that if you don't make map movement early in the game and you fall behind because of how well these teams teamfight, they're just happy to not teamfight. You build this gold lead, and then when you are at the point where you're like, wow, we have to fight now, they just absolutely destroy you. So certainly... is interesting to see if M3 can get to that point.
Well, it is certainly interesting because we are now back on Summoner's Rift, ladies and gentlemen. M3 versus EPA. And we'll see whether Savoki is going to be able to run around this Rift on this Blitzcrank and grab himself some picks and make proactive plays. But at the moment, they're just going to kill some Sentinels. See you guys. Pick up that one cheeky one.
Yeah, so grabbing one Sentinel means that they get level 2 a little bit earlier. As you can see, YOLO, he has absolutely no problem jungling by himself, so it's not really going to matter all that much. And it's the 2v2 bottom lane we spoke about. Blitzcrank, get in there.
Yeah, and Jezza already munching on him. Savoki grabs the brush control, and we'll just see whether he's going to be able to start anything off. Of course, this has been a lane of old, you know, the Blitzcrank Tristana. I remember playing that one back in the day. Couple of levels into your rocket jump.
Couple of levels in E, couple of levels in W.
Oh yeah, jump on their face and explode them. Good news. But YOLO is actually heading over to the opposing blue buff, just picks that one up for himself. You can see Savoki trying to create some room to grab a hook as they hit level 2 first, utilizing that Sentinel experience. And already the pressure being put down. This is what you said, you know, they've got the pushing power.
Yeah, exactly right. So they'll be able to shove in. Graves, unfortunately, on the wrong side of the map. Crisis heading down to the bottom side. You know, he understood he was being invaded, so just goes and takes a sneaky blue buff across. No, he's not actually. He's going for a gank here.
Looking for it.
Could really upset the Blitzcrank lane. Once you're in with Blitz.
Well, there's the pillar. He immediately gets exhausted. PACEMAKER's going to land. That's the knock-up. Lots of damage. He's got heaps of health. I mean, mana, sorry. So that shield was pretty huge, but they managed to pick up the kill. The Mystic shot from Romantic's good. Explosive shot going to go off. Crisis decides to soak some of that damage for no reason, but in the end, that's all she wrote, and that's first blood going over to EPA.
And that's the thing about Trundle support. It's just so damn tanky, even with the hook. Means that they're able to grab first blood. YOLO, on the other hand, he's staking out his blue buff. He knows Crisis is there. Decides to dash into the wall for dramatic effect.
Oh,
that's
the
just
slow draw. We call
that
a slow draw, Spawn. As Crisis is able just to take the blue buff for free. That's really sad. I would have flashed. If it was me, I would have just flashed. Immediately. It's like no one saw anything.
Just tunnels away. Why would you do that?
Well, because then you get your blue buff. That's the good news.
Blue buff for flash. It is an interesting trade.
Yeah, misses it.
Please tell me more about gold League of Legends.
Oh, you've been there before.
Maybe 2 years ago. Surely. I'm going to go longer than that. I think it was like 3 seasons ago.
No, it's not. I remember. There were some dark days there, Spawn. Tilt is a powerful tool. Can get the best of us sometimes. But YOLO, he's looking for the gank here on the bottom side. This is exactly what we were talking about. Got to utilize that Graves to try and get this bottom lane going. Savoki
Here we go.
Yeah, found himself in the bottom lane already. The Ignite's down. Nice flash to get away from a lot of that damage as the grab finally gets pulled. Jezza gets flashed on. YOLO picks up the kill. Glad he had his flash. Thankfully, he didn't use it to grab a blue buff earlier on. And Romantic now.
In the mid lane, Raphael just 1v1 Republic one more time.
What?
Able to grab a kill as Lulu. You know, we were speaking yesterday about the fact that you should not die again, as a Lulu against an Ezreal. The same rule applies. Lulu should not be able to kill you if you're a Victor. But he does.
Still had his Ghost available as well, did Republic. Just shows Raphael knows a little bit about Victor. Explosions, though, underneath this turret. As M3 are doing the very best they can to push this one out.
Well, this is what we said they want to do, be able to shove that bottom lane in. Then just put the big bullseye on Trundle. See how many times you can grab him out from underneath that turret. No wave clear available. Makes it very hard on the side of EPA to be able to protect those structures. Would not be surprised to just see YOLO run into that lane one more time, rinse and repeat, see if they can get it done.
Well, Republic now back in the lane.
You can't dive Tav Kench. You can't dive a level 6 Lulu at this stage of the game. So why not just continue to focus that part of the map? Try and get Romantic behind. We've already seen that once he's pressured, he does struggle to keep up.
Yeah, it's very true. We did see that. It seems that, you know, game number 1, that's where Romantic able to get the work done.
Yeah,
2 and 3.
Shrines.
That's the difficult stage. Has proved himself on the Callista, though, last game. He can kill a lot of minions. Nobody else is in the lane. Crisis now just going back to his jungling as M3 try to set up here for this bottom lane. Savoki still threatening, and despite falling down for first blood, being able to grab that kill back is a big deal.
Really smart out of Mystic here. He's actually gone for the Wolf Spirit. That means he knows 100% if Crisis wants to take a similar counter gank path over that wall. So they've smarted that away. Pink warded up the brush, going to shove the lane in one more time. Of course, Tristana does this naturally, so it's not suspect at all. And we'll see whether they're able to go for another play.
Yeah, there's a ward in here, though. Savoki, there's eyes on him. Of course, Romantic, pretty happy about being Ezreal at this stage. If you do use that rocket grab straight up, you can arcane shift out of the way.
Yeah, as I said, it's all Trundle. Yolo actually deciding to go back. There's nothing in his jungle. Actually pings out his red buff, so there is something in his jungle. So that's what he wants to go and grab.
It's an important bit.
We'll go do another rotation and see if he can get back down into the bottom lane.
And Raphael continuing to dominate here in the mid lane. And you've mentioned the fact that mid lane has been left a little bit on their own a lot of the time, especially in this sort of lane swappy mid and bottom lane focused game. And with the Republic falling behind in a 1v1 scenario, very good news here for M3 as far as making proactive plays is concerned.
Well,
because
that's a strange decision out of Crisis. Mid lane is being left alone, and Crisis definitely can't go for a gank right now because of how much of his jungle is available. You can see red and blue buff, but he decides to fire a shot from the bottom half of River into mid lane. Lets Raphael know exactly where he is. Would not be surprised if Yolo picks up this buff. Raphael continues to shove in, and then he just goes over to the blue and they challenge as a unit because, of course, Tahm Kench going to be able to use that ultimate to get down there much more efficiently.
Yeah, that's true. At the moment, they're going to have a long time to think about it as well, as we are back into a pause. We'll see whether we can get this one sorted out as quickly as possible. Of course, we did manage to get back into the game, which is good news. But we'll see exactly what the problem is and report back to you. But as the game is shaken out, things going a whole lot better for M3, especially in that mid lane in the 1v1. And the gank actually working out here for Yolo.
Yeah, exactly right. Yolo got his gank to work, and the Blitzcrank already paid dividends. So, you know, boom, there was a rocket grab. Like that one.
The dynamite.
But it was a 1v1 kill that really, to me, that's a good sign. When you start 1v1 killing, that means you're playing up and aggressive in lane.
Yeah.
And you see the response from then on in is just to continually shove that wave in, make Republic's life a little bit miserable. So definitely good moves here by Raphael in the mid lane, and we'll see whether this Lulu and Tristana can get going, because that's the late game threat that they need if they're going to keep up with a Gangplank, an Ezreal, and a Victor.
Yeah, and it's actually really cool the fact that it's the Lulu getting ahead here, because even if the Tristana then falls a little bit behind, you've got a more powerful shield. You've got a more powerful way to really boost up this Tristana in the late game.
It's the movement speed.
Yeah, and the movement speed's stupid.
It's so funny. Like, when you think of, like, maximum AP on Lulu, like, the damage is there. She does great things. Shield is huge. Most useful thing as an AD carry is probably the movement speed, because you can chase for days, and it's very easy to dodge skill shots when you go in the speed of sound. So, you know, watch out for him to just be able to fly around the rift.
Yep, just ridiculous. The fact that the movement speed scales with AP is just ludicrous. Nami as well. It's another thing. It's just absolutely insane. Ladies and gentlemen, we are having a little bit of lag on EPA's end, so we're just making sure that we can sort that one out and get us back onto the rift. You can't have someone lagging. It's bad news.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, you can, but you don't want them to be. So, you know, that's why we're trying to sort it out, and we'll see if we can do so and get them back on the rift.
We'll actually have to see whether it's Republic that said so, because he was the one that was 1v1'd. And that may have been what he just wrote down in chat. It's lag. So we've paused it here just to see whether or not that was in fact the case.
I don't actually think we do that.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
But I just thought it was amusing. Probably shouldn't have. One of those times. We've spoken a lot here, Spawn. So we're just, I'm at the end. At the end.
Well, let me help you out a little bit.
Thank you.
When you have a team composition that is looking to scale up and, you know, just shove out waves, and they could see how much pressure was going to go to the bottom side of the map, I just want to hit on, you know, the Victor versus Lulu outplay a little bit more, because that opens up a very big hole on the mid side. And you see that the way that has actually impacted the map is that Crisis felt like he needed to make his presence shown. So even though he's level 6 on Rek'Sai, farming up very well for himself, even though his team's 2-0 down, the fact that he had to show mid lane just gives so much information right now over to M3. And you saw that the red buff had just been taken by YOLO. And straight away, he's on the backside of red buff. He's about to dash over a Baron wall and challenge on a blue buff invade for the second time in a row.
Yeah.
Hoping he doesn't headbutt a wall one more time. But if that is the case, Crisis has cost himself a buff just because of the fact that his mid laner Republic has started to fall behind against Raphael. So it's the little things in League of Legends that tell you exactly where, because at that point in the game, they didn't know whether he was going to go to the blue buff and hand it off straight away as that wave was bouncing back, or whether he was going to start his red buff off. Would have probably been smarter to be on the blue side of the map because Graves had gone red to blue straight away, and you knew that Graves hadn't taken the red buff because he'd shown bottom lane. So I just honestly am questioning. This is a thing that I've always said about the EPA lineup. Good in laning phase. You know, they show that every now and again they can have brilliant flashy mechanics. They can catch people out, play pick games, League of Legends. What's their macro game of League of Legends like? Game 1, they showed that it can be good at times, and they played a very good starving game on the bottom half of the map. But this time around, that's a big fault that could bite them for it.
Yeah, it's a very, very dangerous time here to be an M3 fan. So we'll see exactly what happens as we move back into this one. Hopefully we are going to be able to sort out as much lag issues as we possibly can, get us back onto the Rift. But I'm a little bit worried about, YOLO moving into that jungle at the same time, because you mentioned the fact that Crisis was able to farm up quite well, and Raphael will be moving around. And we're talking about a Victor here. I mean, you put a Victor behind, he's still able to upgrade that hex score and clear out a minion wave. Is it too much of a big deal here?
Yeah, 100%. Like,
really?
So the fact that if you're under the turret, every single time he walks into the jungle and Lulu's able to leave because she's got no experience or gold to gain from the mid lane,
that's a good point.
Victor has to make a choice. Do I pick up the 100 gold from the minion wave, or do I walk into the jungle and help out my jungler? And every single time they make him make that choice, even if they secure the buff, that's 100 gold, a minion wave of experience that he falls behind just from having to go in there. And the fact that he got solo killed means that the Lulu can push up with Abandon and doesn't actually have to respect the power of the Victor at that stage. Can clear minion waves, but no way is he one-shotting a Lulu at this stage of the game. So that's a huge deal. Like, there's all of a sudden this big void of pressure in the mid lane where Victor Lulu, actually the wave clear goes in Victor's favor because he one-shots the backline. Lulu does not. She has to auto-attack them as well. So that's something that Republic definitely dropped the ball on.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate here for EP fans, but hopefully for M3 it means that they can find their way at least past this mid-game, get themselves to a point where they can demonstrate they can close out a game of League of Legends, which is exactly what they need to do. Meanwhile, the top side of the map was very, very even, as the old Gangplank and Tahm Kench not really going to be doing too much to either of them. They're just going to stand around and farm.
They're going to shoot each other a little bit. Tahm Kench is going to eat some minions,
licking people and shooting people.
Yeah, it's going to be a good top side of the map. But what you have to watch there is how ahead does Gangplank get in that matchup? Because if he's able to shove him underneath turret, hopefully Tahm starts missing out on some of that creep score. And if he's shoved under the turret, won't be able to use that teleport or the ultimate, the Abyssal Voyage, to get around the map and help out his allies. So as long as that lane is even, as we say about Gangplank so much, but even more so because they have a Trundle in their team to strip away Tahm's tankiness, that lane matchup at even is in EPA's favor.
Yeah. The other option there as well is the Cannon Barrage after level 6. I mean, Gangplank is still going to be there. If he's able to scale himself to a decent portion, then all of that sort of the wave clear option, the fact that it is a massive AoE slow anywhere on the map, that is going to be a big deal if they are going to start falling behind, which EPA already have started to, especially there in the mid lane.
Yeah, and Gangplank's damage is about 65-35. And that's so weird. 65% AD, 35% magic is what I'm talking about. Because when you think about it, he builds all AD items and only has one ability that does magic damage or true damage, which is his ultimate. But it's just that much of a zone and hits that hard and quickly as you start getting the upgrades into it that it's very impactful. So when you compare the two globals in the top lane, Gangplank hits anywhere on the map. He doesn't actually have to go there, so he can maintain pressure in his lane and does a heck of a lot of damage still. Pushing up the lane, definitely a good option to be able to be a Gangplank at that stage.
Yeah, and we'll see whether he's going to be able to do so. But definitely it still has that really expensive build. And you mentioned this in sort of a positive way, that if we make it to like 70 minutes into the game, he's still going to be building his like 15th Infinity Edge moving forward. But he does take a while to get all of his items together, and especially like you build your Trinity Force, you have that, but then you need to have that crit, you need to have that Infinity Edge before you can start really doing your massive damage.
Yeah, and there's kind of a couple of ways that people like to build Gangplank at the moment, and that is, with a CDR boots, the Trinity Force and a Yomu's, you get 30% cooldown reduction, and that's a kind of good spot to be at Gangplank, very, very smooth. Or if you go for defensive boots, Trinity Force and Essence Reaver, that's 40% off the bat. So you can go for that. Doesn't give you the armor penetration, or I guess the bonus of having some good attack speed if someone face checks a brush as Gangplank, being able to utilize that passive in the Yomu. So we'll see which way they want to take it in this game. I prefer the Yomu's build right now. I just think it's really, really smooth to build into. You can start picking up Infinity Edge later. So if that is the case, he's strong at the Trinity Force, he's strong at the Yomu's Trinity Force and Boot. So Gangplank, honestly, he kind of feels good at every stage of the game, apart from the no item stage, which is why starting Mana Crystal and going into Cull doesn't necessarily make sense to me, because it just prolongs the no item phase of the game.
This time, though, Gimgoon has decided to pick up the Corrupting Potion, which is going to work out just a little bit better.
Yeah, it certainly is, as we see some cherry blossoms falling over the Summoner's Rift
I
Atlas.
believe that was the Sadamumu song.
Still in the pause, ladies and gentlemen. There is some lag on China's end. Still trying to resolve it.
Yeah, still trying to resolve the lag. But we are going to take a short break, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with us. We are going to be back with EPA taking on M3 as soon as we possibly can. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our English broadcast of the Chinese LPL. I'm Atlas. This is Spawn, and we're hoping to get back into M3 versus EPA as quickly as possible. Computer swaps are happening. Everything is being done in order to get us back into this game as quickly as possibly can.
Yeah, Romantic had some lag, so we've swapped out his computer. Well, we haven't. That would be impressive over here, but someone has. So
Go Gadget on.
We should be able to get back into the game, and there we are.
Yeah, here we are. So Raphael continues to push up, and we'll see exactly whether YOLO will be able to steal away that blue buff. Doesn't seem to be the case, as Republic has picked that one up.
As you can see, that means that YOLO able to get Crisis trapped off here. Raphael still poking out Republic, and this is the blue buff under fire once again.
Yeah, I really, really like the fact that that gravity field was put down, make sure that Raphael couldn't collapse. You can see YOLO now just going to take a Rift Scuttler. Couldn't get the blue, so he's going to grab a little crab instead. Speaking of grabs, having a look down in the bottom lane here, we can see that Savoki still coming in, as Romantic has been able to pull ahead just a little bit on the farm, but now that this wave is getting pulled up, then you're going to be able to catch right back up.
See whether he decides to grab the entirety of the wave. He's going for it.
Oh, nice buster shot there from Pentacure. Avoids getting chomped. Stops this lane from getting frozen out. You can see Cannon Creep going to be missed here by the Ezreal.
But you can see massive rotation coming down now. Crisis is on his way, followed by Republic. They need to get the heck out of dodge. They do manage to be able to do it, but Crisis is going to put on some jungle pressure of his own.
Yeah, Crisis actually discovers the fact that there is a blue buff here as well. You can see YOLO, he's hanging around the blue side jungle of the opponent, nowhere near this buff, as Savoki going to do his very best to scope this one out. And EPA, despite the fact that, you know, things didn't necessarily go so well early on, it's another 1v1 from Raphael, but this time he's got backup. Massive Chaos Storm comes in. Raphael's going to burn to death. Crisis picks up that kill. True Shot Barrage is here. XY has to flash out of the way. Savoki lands it, picks up the kill on Republic, and he's now in amongst the mix. He's going down very, very quickly as Gimgoon made his way across, wants to shoot the Blitzcrank if he can. XY running away with him. He's going to survive in the end, and EPA, it's a 1-for-1. Mid lane is dead.
Yeah, so mid laners both die. What a grab out of Savoki. You know, we questioned the pick, making it work so far, and this will be the first turret of the game, being very heavily pressured by EPA. That's all the remaining members.
Yeah, Essence Flux even going to be used just to make sure that everyone can get as much damage onto it as they can. Local gold going to be picked up by Jezza and Gimgoon, and a blue buff as well. So it's a 1-for-1 trade as far as that scuffle was concerned, but in the end, it all falls down in favor of EPA.
Yeah, and you see that now they've very much invaded the blue side of the jungle. Masters 3 picked himself up another blue buff. Everyone else gets out unscathed.
Scathed. I like it. But Pink Ward, unable to sit. No, Savoki has found it in the end. He's going to head back, pick that one up.
Boom.
Yeah, done well. Love seeing Blitzcrank. Good times. Raphael going to continue shoving this wave out. Frost Queen's claim now completed as well. It's a lot of slow potential out of this Lulu. She wasn't frustrating enough. Most certainly is now. It's Crisis dealing with these wolves. It's pretty healthy though, as YOLO decides not to go for anything more. DJ finally able to deal with that. Oh, nice hook. It's actually behind his pillar as well. Jezza probably didn't want to have that one there. Of course, doesn't slow himself down, but he couldn't run as quickly back. It's a fair bit of damage down now onto this Trundle.
Savoki showing us that this isn't a cheese pick. Very well practiced with the Blitz. Good return damage out of Raphael and Republic.
Nicely done. Crisis, though, going to use that Void Rush to get in here. Nice ultimate for some zoning there as the knock up onto Crisis. He wanted to knock up Raphael. Not going to happen. Brilliant use of the pillar, and Republic going to lock down the kill. Exhaust now onto YOLO. Uses his full rotation, able to get enough damage through so that Savoki could grab Crisis, and YOLO now just going to do the... Oh, misses it. Republic gets flashed on. He's going to be able to pick that one up in the end, and Jezza, he has to run out. And M3 managed to win the trade.
YOLO 100% hit that Q. It bounced off the wall, did bonus damage even, so that was actually very well played out of the Graves. And in the end, Masters 3 able to grab themselves another kill, another couple of kills, and only Raphael falling down. A lot of pressure being put on this mid lane.
Yeah, XY even able to shove up this top lane as well. Barrel is going to expire. Master Chef himself just tries to lick some minions. But know, it's all a matter of time here for EPA. They just want to try and drag this game out for as long as they can. Despite the fact that Republic did go down in that 1v1, also in basically every other engagement that they've had. 1-3-1 now, but not too far behind as far as those creeps are concerned. He's going to be making it back towards this lane, but the Tristana doing very, very well, even on farm with the Ezreal. Now almost towards that Infinity Edge this stage of the game.
Yeah, and we have to see if this mid lane turret being open does put any pressure on the map right now for Masters 3, because you know, we keep mentioning that it looked like Raphael was getting up in the mid lane farm. He had all the pressure, but the shove through actually means that EPA right now have control of that part of the map. Maybe Republic and Crisis will be able to get around the rest of the map and make some things work.
Yeah, a few wards around here as well. Crisis sees that one expire.
The Crisis is on top of a pink ward right now. The collapse is coming out.
Oh, collateral damage. Not going to do it. Close.
Pretty strange that they wouldn't just fight it. Gangplank had gone back to base. Exact timer on teleport meant that it wasn't up, I believe, when it happened. It is back up now. Savoki once again, just a drive-by in the mid lane.
Yep. Create some pressure. Tristana was able to shove up that wave, so Infinity Edge now complete. Grab some boots as well. Iceborne Gauntlet done for Romantic though. Stacking that tier still as well. Going to be able to get past that annoying time as an Ezreal where you're just stacking the tier. Don't have a whole lot of combat capabilities, but Romantic doing fine at the moment. Going to be able to push ahead on this farm as Tristana makes her way back to the lane. And Trinity Force now done here for Gimgoon as that's the grab onto Crisis. Just immediately knocks up the Blitzcrank. We'll see what they can do though with Pentakill and YOLO still standing off to the side. Whoa, it's a lot of burst damage out of Romantic. He does manage to get that Mastery proc.
So a frustrating interaction with the Blitzcrank is you can never get your Power Fist off against the Rek'Sai, just because as soon as you hook her, she gets W, you get knocked up before she gets knocked up. That's the way the charge-up interaction works. So you can see, even though Crisis was the one that got hooked there, was Savoki that got the worst end of the trade over the wall.
Yeah.
As his team didn't collapse fast enough.
Not quite there. You have a feeling that if they were any closer, things could have been a whole lot better. But Dragon goes down. It's just a solo here from Crisis. Was able to do that in time. Cinderhawk there helping out as he's already managed to build up that item. Swiftness boots for jungler and top lane on the side of M3 and picked up already.
Here we go again.
As well. In he goes. Rocket jump down already. There's the flash rocket grab, but the jump out from Romantic's already there. The chomp from Jezza, they're trying to do what they can as Romantic's finding his way back in. Crisis is here as well. They want to get this Blitzcrank. He's going to explode with the damage from EPA. Flashes forward. The teleport's being used. Republic able to pick up a few of these minions at least. And 5 members of EPA collapsing on this outer turret in the bottom lane. They just seem to be able to get more from their engagements by the looks of things. Pentakill
using everything aggressively there meant that there was really nothing else they can do. Maybe YOLO will catch out Crisis on the back end here.
Going to get a knock-up. Raphael coming around though. He's going to be the first one to collapse onto this one. The flash out uses the wild growth on himself just to try and get a little bit more survivability in there, and Romantic offering enough.
Does Pentakill jump again?
Yeah, they're looking to try and do something here. The laser comes down. Pentakill running pretty quick with the Whimsy.
But in the end, nothing will happen. Successful disengage out of EPA. M3 slowly, even though they looked like they were getting some good advantages, they were all onto the Blitzcrank. Now Romantic's got going, and it's just not looking like the game's going in their favor.
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily that Romantic has any damage yet. He can just slow down and be so frustrating with this Iceborne Gauntlet. They can't really surprise them anymore if he knows what's going on. But Savoki, now in the brush, is going to be able to.
You can see time and time again, EPA just look like they have the answers for Masters 3 right now. 1,000 gold. Ooh. Savoki punches a minion in frustration.
Yeah, it was very close to getting the silence into the rocket grab. Thankfully for Romantic was able to at least start the animation of his arcane shift before that one came off. Once he starts shifting, he ain't going to be stopped. Now Gimgoon starting to pull out a whole lot of farm.
You can see that it looks like he is going to go towards potentially a Youmuu's Ghostblade. Might even be a Maw with how much magic damage will be coming out of Tahm Kench and Raphael at this stage of the game. They're probably the 2 major threats against the gameplay. And just honestly farming up an absolute storm in the top lane versus Tom. Didn't expect anything else to really happen up there. They're both at nearly the 10 CS a minute mark, and not much pressure really coming out of either.
Yeah, doing a very good job. Republic continues to have about a 10 CS deficit against him, but that's
Crisis.
fine. He's kept that one up. Crisis, yeah, you're right.
Savoki looked like he wanted to collapse as well, was very low. Has also started up his red buff. It's just pretty disrespectful right now. He's at half health, but it doesn't look like anyone wants to pressure him away.
He's just going to go about his business.
They'd send PentaQ back. That makes a lot more sense.
Ooh, Raphael takes a massive burst. You can see YOLO and Savoki around here, though. The rocket grab going to stop Republic from moving any further forward.
Ezreal ultimate.
True Shot Barrage, just not going to do much.
List lazily across the screen.
Yeah, I believe that would be how you describe it. But you can see now the wave clear from Republic. Clearly able to shove things forward, and having no turret there means that it's a bit more difficult for Raphael to stay in the lane.
Dive potentially being looked at here on the bottom side of the map as well.
Yeah, PentaQ still moving around. That
he knows what's up.
Helping out. You can see Savoki's making his way back over here, but Crisis just going to help out.
Shows himself, so now PentaQ feels safe to come up here. They have YOLO and Savoki available.
He wants the grab, finds it onto Crisis, going to get the knockup, but there's the ultimate out of the gangplank. Savoki, you didn't want to do this, sir! He's going to fall down in the end. Really nicely played from EPA, and they read that one.
Yeah, they certainly did, and see how much damage the gangplank ultimate puts out. Level 11 had been picked up by Gimgoon, one upgrade, and he just completely destroyed 3 members of Masters 3. 2,000 gold, nearly 3,000 now.
Pillar of Ice comes down. YOLO says, okay. Wanders at him. Not too much more going to come out of it as Romantic. We're going to try and get some poke damage onto PentaQ. Misses everything. Just going to move away from that inner turret. But you can see 2 structures to 0, even on kills, but it's a 3,000 gold lead now for EPA. It's really helping them out. And despite Lulu having that advantage, they haven't done anything with it.
Yeah, well, they tried a couple of times, but both times the Gangplank Ultimate thwarted the 2v2.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a 2.5 versus 2 when you have a Gangplank Ultimate on your team, realistically.
Are you calling Gangplank half a person?
No, I'm saying his Ultimate's half a person.
Oh, Jesus.
Crisis.
Well, Crisis may have his namesake as a problem right now, as he's going to tunnel his way across. Collateral damage not going to finish him off, and Crisis says Crisis averted as he moves back towards...
and maybe a bit of frustration showing there. You could see that 4 people were over. They just kind of paused and looked at the wall.
Yeah. Might be frustrated too. He was able to get out after soaking a lot of damage. Something said Raphael now has, once again, a Rabadon's Death Cap in his back pocket. Feeling pretty good. And it is going to be the Abyssal Scepter for Republic. It's his first option.
Savoki now top lane.
Yeah, YOLO's here as well. Gimgoon is going to get tagged. Oh my goodness, that juke was
Didn't
so
even burn
perfect.
the flash.
He just stopped. That was his juke. Looked so smooth. That barrel kill, not as much. That one looked good. And what is he doing here? Because he's got a BF sword. If that's an Essence Reaver, I'm going to be really upset, Spawn. Because that's too much cooldown reduction.
It certainly is. Not wrong about sending... No, it doesn't even work.
No, it's bad. It's bad, isn't it?
Oh,
well, Crisis
again.
He's addicted to getting hooked here. The Wild Growth comes through, but look at the ultimate. The Gangplank always doing the work. Chaos Storm goes down as well. Raphael melts like butter. And XY, I mean, you don't do any damage, buddy. You got a bunch of health, but you are so dead. And Crisis still lives.
Yeah, in the end, that is what we've been talking about the whole time. The fact that Gangplank's ultimate is just able to turn this time and time again.
And his timing is so good on it as well, immediately.
Well, it's kind of easy, because as soon as you get hooked in, you see 3 people get knocked up. You're just like, that is where I want to ultimate.
It's a good point.
Let's take another look at it. The hook comes through. PentaQ goes over the wall. You can get YOLO with it as well. That's 4 people, in fact. They're standing in a corridor. Romantic, he absolutely licks his lips. Loves that. Sends a True Shot Barrage across 2. Massive Chaos Storm. And then XY, that's a teleport you must cancel. That's unforgivable.
Yeah.
Energy Pacemaker, making pretty short work of M3 right now.
Yeah, and it was like half of the team got hit by a True Shot Barrage, and the other half get hit by a massive Chaos Storm, and all of them get hit by the Cannon Barrage. It's just pretty awful when you have that level of AoE. The Dragon was then taken immediately afterwards by Energy Pacemaker All. And they're looking good.
Yeah, they certainly are, and we'll see what M3 want to do with this. On the back foot very much, trying to get another catch in the top lane, this time on Romantic. He's been slowed.
Yeah, YOLO going to find his way and uses the quick draw. It's so much burst. Collateral damage flat out missed.
Yeah, he used a flash and an
Arcane
shift. So, you know, I don't know if you can say flat out missed. I'm going to give the benefit to the Ezreal player and say successfully dodged.
Oh, that's a better way of putting it. That's a very good point. Just look that close to, you know, okay, look, YOLO, good try.
So credit to Romantic, more importantly, for being able to get the heck out of the way of that one. 4-0-1 would have had a shutdown. Don't want to be able to give all that gold back across, and you can see that the Blitzcrank.
Yeah, Jezza is going in there, clears out the pink ward, doesn't get hooked. Raphael going to get pillared. Just a bit frustrated. Not really going to do too much more, as Gimgoon going to get himself some extra gold by parlaying the Scuttle Crab.
And Gameplank's exactly where he wants to be in this game. 221 CS at 24 minutes. 0-0-6.
Yep. Means he's never actually been there, but his ultimate, it's done some stuff.
Yeah, and you can see that means for a Gangplank that he's up like nearly 2,000 gold.
Oh my goodness.
A pretty equal farm. Of course, he's got a couple of extra turrets as well, 3 in fact. A couple of dragons, so yeah, as we said, Gimgoon in the top lane had a good opening game, then kind of fell away. This time, pretty good back-to-back games, you have to say. MVP of the first game. And might be set up for a lot of success this second game as he's gone back and grabbed himself an Infinity Edge.
Yeah, that was a BF sword before. So that's 2,500 gold approximately spent. Building a fantastic item for Gangplank, so he's going to be hitting for even more damage now. So Romantic's going to move around, try and pick himself up this top outer turret. The rest of M3 are here. They're looking to try and contest this one as XY does have the Abyssal Voyage to get himself in there.
Hit.
Yeah, the slow is going to go down onto the trundle.
Here goes the Blitzcrank. Oh.
Yeah, not going to find it.
High
nice
wide,
juke.
not very handsome. I love how one of them has 2 gap closes.
Yep.
And like flat out misses.
I knew that you'd pick that one up. Knew you picked that one up. Just thought I'd utilize it. There we are. Jezza, though, he's going to get hit by that one. The exhaust goes down. Massive damage out from the True Shot Barrage as he tries to hit the Mystic Shot. Crisis is here too. Savoki, you are so low. Wild Growth down on him just to make sure that he doesn't die from incidental damage. Never go full YOLO, ladies and gentlemen, but this guy is going to. He gets destroyed. And Crisis tanking up the turret like it's doing nothing. Going out of fashion, as it were. Gimgoon, though, just tanks up this one. He's going to eat an orange after this. He'll be okay. Then he take out the last remaining outer turret.
Yeah, so another turret picked up. Another... Wow. Raphael kills Crisis.
Where?
In the jungle, so you know.
Okay, cool.
Interesting play there from Crisis. Was very low.
He had a mid-game Crisis, I think. Yeah, his name's pretty good, but horrendous puns.
I'm not even going to say a little bit of me. A big bit of me just died then.
Oh, finally got the rest.
And it looks like Masters 3, with that kill, going to look to try and get some pressure across the rest of the map. Problem is, as we mentioned at the top of the game, Gimgoon as well as Republic in the mid lane just have so much damn wave clear. Able to clear it out.
And Gimgoon, he wants to be just wave clear at the moment as well. Still building up. Now has that 40% CDR.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with now has that license to kill. That one I would have paid because he's
really?
007.
I thought the Crises ones were better.
Nah. Because, you know, hasn't got a kill yet.
Yeah, I know. But I just feel like that one's been done. We haven't had a guy called Crisis in a game.
I don't want him to be called Crisis anymore.
Oh, bring back Rabbit 97.
Crisis seems to have a lot more success in the lineup, you have to say.
Yeah.
With another 6,000 gold lead for Energy Pacemaker All. They've kind of just exploded this one, though. Different early game. As now maybe Romantic has been caught out.
Yeah, the ultimate goes down. More kiting to come through. The ultimate out of Raphael.
Wow.
Oh my, it's not enough. He's turned into a little critter. YOLO just gets Arcane shifted to the face. And Gimgoon's going to be able to pick up that kill. Barrels come down. XY, do you have enough grey health for this as M3 are scattering across the map?
Crisis still wants XY. Good hook.
Nice hook, but that's a Chaos Storm they did not want to be under. There's no turret there either as Republic's just going to turn it right around. Savoki, you don't want to be hooking that man. He's pretty angry, who gets eaten by a dead Tahm Kench. It's an interesting interaction as he just sort of hopped on top of him.
So they hook Republic but cannot blow him up straight away. Thought they might have the damage. Instead, he's just able to completely destroy 2 people. 27 minutes in, that'll be the first inhibitor. They're looking for more.
Yeah, they're seeing whether they can take the game at this stage. EPA with the scaling comp, able to move forward at 28 minutes. Nexus turret number 1 falling down. PentaQ down to about half health. The Nexus to follow. YOLO trying to get in there. Got a lot of AoE potential here, but they're all focusing the Nexus. It's down. It's almost gone. Massive kills to come through from M3, but the only thing they're looking at on the side of EPA is the Nexus, and it gets destroyed. Much quicker victory from the team, and that's a 2-0 for EPA.
And very decisive.